what happens when you purify your body, your mind, your spirit. Something miraculous. The body begins to heal itself. Welcome to the Medicine Girl podcast, where each week we explore new ways to heal your body from the root, igniting your inner healer. You are a medicine. And now, here's your host, Robin Stebbins.
Straight out of the gates, tell our listeners who you are and kind of a little bit of background on your books. And then we'll just jump right into kind of see where it goes. I would really like to talk about your discoveries like Arthur Furstenberg and different ways that we can determine who's what I call a snake oil salesman just after you for the grift versus someone who has done actual research and is presenting information we can observe in our evidence-based reality.
Exactly. Well, my name is Jeanice Barcelo. I have that identity in this lifetime. Of course, I'm a much bigger energy than that. I'm a soul here, trying to help shift things on this earth, to get them out of the hands of the dark side and to be rid of these creatures once and for all, so that the good people of this earth can have the earth to themselves without all of this evil. So that's my ultimate goal. I did discover sometime around the year 2000, 2003, I began to see that the protocols of hospital birth were mirroring the techniques of trauma-based mind control. Nobody ever taught me that. There's nothing that I ever read about that. I think that I must have been part of a satanic cult in a past life. That's what I think. And so that I came in understanding what they're doing and why they're doing it. So I wrote my first book called Birth Trauma and the Dark Side of Modern Medicine, which reveals the underlying satanic ritual abuse that is taking place during hospital birth every single day. And also my second book called The Dark Side of Prenatal Ultrasound took me deep into the territory of understanding prenatal care as part of the satanic ritual abuse, and that ultrasound is the electroshock torture of our babies. It is wiping their genetics, literally, along with their fertility, and causing massive brain damage and low birth weight and fetal growth retardation and miscarriage and stillbirth. There's a lot going on with the medical establishment that is a direct attack on the incoming children. And of course, the mothers and fathers are also being mind controlled through these rituals, the rituals of prenatal care, quote unquote, and hospital birth. Most of us were born in hospitals, so we came in through this system of trauma-based mind control. And it's part of why we're so screwed up. Okay, it's part of why it takes sometimes decades to break through the mind control and to actually see what is going on and what we have allowed to happen to our bodies and our babies. Okay, we didn't see it before. We watch TV, we watch the music videos, we're on our phones, on these scrying mirrors. I don't have a phone, by the way. I'm completely over the whole wireless thing. I have nothing. No wireless devices at all.
Well,
okay,
just go back for people that don't know what a scrying mirror is, the black mirror, and staring into it. Explain that so that people truly understand what looking into a black screen is all about.
Well, you're being taken into a form of hypnosis as you use this device. You're being taken into a satanic underworld where you can be programmed, okay, where your thoughts can be controlled through what you're seeing through that black screen. And it's especially effective when the black screen is being used through wireless frequencies, because wireless frequencies are Luciferian. They are satanic. These frequencies don't belong on the earth. And so there are demonic forces riding in on these waves, which is why our world has become so filled with satanic energy right now, because the frequencies are bringing them in. And we ourselves are bringing them in by using these devices, bringing them into our homes. We don't know this on a conscious level. On a subconscious level, we do. Everybody knows these technologies are harmful. At some level, we've just made the choice that we're going to go with this because it's convenient, it's keeping us entertained, it's providing us also with a form of connection that we're so lacking because of the spiritual damage that we've experienced, so that we're starving for any form of connection, any form of acknowledgement or recognition. And so we use these devices in part for that reason. And we've also lost our ability to even look over our children. And so we put these baby monitors next to our babies that are pumping out a huge amount of radiation, because we've lost the ability to actually even telepathically connect with our children, which should come naturally to us, but doesn't, because we're lost in this satanic underworld.
And that kind of goes back to, and when you said that the hospital births are a form of MK Ultra, I'd been saying that for quite a while. And I've been saying it for quite a while on my podcast after interviewing Dr. Juliet Engel, reading her books, Angel Over Moscow and Sparky, which chronicles her ritualistic satanic abuse in the MK Ultra program, and how she was able to wake up and then saw everything. She didn't connect it necessarily with group mass mind control or the birthing process, but that's exactly what they do. And they need us in utero. And actually they're already infiltrating your mother's eggs and your father's sperm with their satanic cult, meaning the chemicals and, anyone that eats HEK 293 fetal cell line in their food, in their beverages, is consenting to this satanic cult, staring at a black screen. You are consenting. This cult needs your consent. First, they have to tell you the revelation of the method. So they have to make it obvious, and they tell you. And then they have to have your consent, because that's informed consent now. They told you, and they need you to say yes.
They don't have to have informed consent. They have to have tacit consent.
I think informed consent means
you don't know what you're consenting to.
But they've told you. They've told
in really
you
subversive ways. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so they do put it out there, which would, I think, for them is considered informed consent. They informed you. You refuse to listen.
In their minds, with the revelation of the method, they believe if they tell us ahead of time what they're going to do, and we don't say no.
Right.
Okay. This is a key. Then they have our tacit consent, and they cannot be held spiritually accountable. That's how they think.
Right.
Okay. So they do tell us through movies and various. They tell us in a variety of ways what they're going to do. They tell us the technologies are dangerous, and we decide we're going to use them anyway. We don't realize the extent of what we're participating in. But they do have our passive consent to put smart meters on our house, because we didn't say no.
But look at terms and conditions. No one ever reads those. But if you read the terms and conditions, even PayPal was doing that. You read the terms and conditions line by line. They tell you exactly what the satanic cult is doing and why they need your consent. Same with the smart meters. It's on their terms and conditions of the power company. that these can cause a fire, that these can burn your house down, that these emit a radiation, all of those things. And people just think, oh, they have to do that for liability. No, they're doing that because then they get your informed consent.
With the smart meters, mostly what they do is they'll send a little card to the mail saying, we're going to upgrade your equipment. That's all they do. Okay. That is, they're telling you they're going to do something. And if you do not say no, forget all the stuff you just mentioned. Okay. If you do not at that time call them and tell them you do not consent to having a smart meter or any radiation emitting device put on your house, they have your tacit consent and they're going to come and do it. Okay. And it doesn't matter whether they create all these, terms of acceptance or all this shit. It's all it takes is one little postcard to say, we're going to do that. If you don't say no,
because
you're done.
you could, if you wanted to, look up dangers of smart meters. And
you could.
Even on Google, it will tell you there was fires in Stockton that were created, house fires that burned houses down that were created by smart meters. Or if you were using this just for a little bit, your critical thinking just for a minute, you would think lithium ion batteries in cars, you can't put them out. These are lithium ion batteries. I've got electricity and gas coming into these lines going into my house. That sounds like a potential fire to me. And I am reluctant to say this, but when they removed my smart meters after a year of back and forth, finally came out. It took less than 12 seconds to unplug it and plug in the plug.
Exactly.
But my electricity bills, remember, it's also digital. So whatever is in the digital world, that's their realm. They can manipulate it and control it however.
And it sucks a lot of energy, the digital world. It's a total vampire system.
Right.
Okay. It also reads all of your data. They're selling data. This is why they're doing this, because they make more money selling your data than they do selling you electricity and water.
Right.
Collect your data and sell it. I should also point out regarding the lithium batteries, and I did put this article on as a potential for publication on your site. I'm quite certain they're using the smart meters to blow up people's houses, like in Lahaina, and to blow up the boats, because there's smart meters on the boats. Like there were boats that blew up in Lahaina.
No, I mean,
GPS devices
and I did a whole podcast on that. I did a whole podcast on that with this woman who calls herself Rusted Soul. And because I was in Lahaina the day of the fire.
Oh my God.
With my son and his two friends. And they were trying to get us to go back into Lahaina. We were staying in Kihei, just down the road.
Right.
And they were trying to force us to go back in. And I said, no, it's our last night there. It looked like a festival they were getting ready to set up. And I didn't know anything about it. I just said, no, we're not going. We went around the barricade. And that's the only reason we weren't in Lahaina. And it wasn't like, okay, I have a sixth sense, something's wrong. Like in my gut, I just knew we were not going to be in Lahaina that afternoon. No way, no two ways about it. Didn't feel right to me for whatever reason. I just thought I was going to get stuck in the crowd. But that's the way your intuition works also. And I talked to people that were in the fire. They report the fire was coming up from underground. And the only reason that the fire would be coming from underneath is if they were exploding homes with smart meters. And that's why they can do it remotely.
Exactly what I've been saying. So we need to understand, in the same way that Israel blew up pagers and cell phones and solar panels in Lebanon.
Right.
This is weaponized technology. It is designed to kill us. And if we do not act to correct what is happening in our homes, especially, we are in great danger. That's all I'm going to say. I just did a podcast with Mark Atwood a couple of days ago. I'll put it on my Substack soon so people can watch it, going deep into this issue that needs to be addressed. But there are other things that need to be addressed in addition to the radiation issue, in terms of what's happening to our children as they're trying to enter this dimension. We're at a place right now where very few people are going to be able to reproduce because of the radiation exposure. Babies are being conceived right now through irradiated sperm and egg. Okay, because of all the wireless exposure of the parents. And so we have autistic children being born in large numbers. Are being blamed. I'm here to tell you are a part of the problem. The radiation is a massive problem because it is causing the genetic damage. Autistic children have on average 72 de novo genetic mutations. De novo means new. They've never existed in the family before. Okay, they are showing up for the first time in the children. The medical establishment will tell you that these are spontaneous. No, they are radiation-induced genetic alterations. Okay.
But when you say genetic alterations, are you saying like these kids could then pass that on to their offspring?
They will. Unquestionably. This genetic damage goes on for at least 10 generations that we pass it on.
From radiation damage.
And that was known in the 1980s. They did a study on ultrasound, several studies, finding that a single exposure to ultrasound is producing the same level of genetic damage as 250 chest x-rays.
Right. And so so people are very aware. They used to do a sonogram, and then now they do ultrasounds, and then they also, like every woman that I know has to have 1 million 3D images of her baby in utero, and they post them online, and everyone's so proud of it. And when people say, okay, well they didn't know, or the studies haven't come out yet, that's not how they operate. They're doing this on purpose because they know exactly what it does. And then they'll be on to the next one that'll be safe for the next 30 years, but it's exactly the same thing.
We got to understand, how evil this is. And you're right. They know exactly what they're doing. In the 1980s, they knew. In the 1950s, they knew it was causing reproductive harm. When they first came out with this technology, they could see it is deadly. Ultrasound is flipping deadly. It is killing living things. This is why dolphins and whales beach themselves, because of the sonar, which is similar to a sonogram, except a sonar is amplified in the watery environment of the ocean, and it is amplified in the amniotic environment of our wombs. So babies can hear this. It's like being in a subway station when the trains are coming in, 120 decibels. So babies are going deaf. Babies are desperately trying to protect. You can see sometimes they're covering their ears. They're going like this, right? They're flipping all over the place, but they're trapped. They can't protect themselves. They can't get out. They are under assault. This is an assault that is happening to our children, and their genetics are being altered. Half of these kids today don't know if they're male or female.
Right.
Because their genetics have been wiped. In the same way that they use electroshock torture to wipe the memory of people.
Right. Interesting.
This is what they're doing to babies in the womb. They are wiping the genetic information that these children should be coming in with. And I'm not saying this is, let's all kill ourselves. It's, it's unbearable. Everything can be reversed through consciousness and through the help of our Creator, But we need to become aware of what we're doing and the harm that this is causing our children. We need to know that ultrasound was known very early. It's going to kill things. It's going to hurt children. They've known this for decades. They come out with this study about the 250 chest x-rays. And then a few years later, the FDA does another study on like 2,500 children in Denver and finds those exposed to ultrasound have fetal growth retardation, or what's commonly referred to as low birth weight. So what do they do after this? They turn around and they raise the radiation output levels on the machines eightfold, 8 to 15-fold, depending on what study you look at. Okay, so the children that came in after the early 90s were exposed to 8 to 15 times more radiation than the children born from 1970 to the early 90s. Okay, you could see autism starts as soon as they introduce ultrasound into obstetrics. Here it goes. We see autism rising, and then after the FDA did that with the raising, it exponentially increases. We now have 1 in 12 boys in California autistic.
Right. That's
and
right.
I'm going to say this about the boys, okay? I think the brain damage caused by the circumcision trauma, okay, which involves literally strapping a newborn infant to a torture board so they can't move their arms or their legs, sometimes shoving something into their mouth so that they choke on their screams while shoving sharp metal instruments into their penis to separate the glands from the foreskin, to which the foreskin, and systematically cut off the most sensitive part of an infant male's penis without any anesthetic whatsoever. Friends, this is satanic ritual abuse. If you don't believe how horrific this is and that it is causing severe brain damage, okay, it is altering men's ability to actually deal with their feelings because they dissociate, they shut down in order to deal with the trauma. You'll see this in the infants. They'll be screaming sounds the likes of which you'll never hear anywhere else. And suddenly they'll stop.
Yeah.
The eyes glaze over, the heart rate slows down. They have disassociated. The ones that can disassociate will dissociate, means the spirit leaves the body. The spirit leaves the body. You see, this is what they're looking for so that they can call in other entities into that body.
That's MK Ultra, just so people don't get lost, because we're throwing out a lot of information. So MK Ultra programming is specifically to split the personality. And when you're splitting the personality, you're weak, you're in a weakened state. There's fractures in your soul and your spirit that can allow then dark forces, entities, satanic entities, whatever you want to call it. People that are alcoholics can allow in these satanic entities that then puppet them around for the next drink, the next drink, the next drink. And it's well documented in our evidence-based reality. And people like Jerry Marzinski have shown actual clinical evidence that this occurs. So what they want is, first they have to have your parents in a state of hypnotic control.
Usually drug-induced.
Usually, everyone in the going into a hospital birth, they've consented. You fill out a pack of paperwork telling you all these things that they're going to do to torment you, the mother, and then subsequently your baby. And they've already been doing that in utero from the beginning with the ultrasound, the non-ionizing radiation, the ultrasounds, the amnio. If they wanted me to do an amnio because I was 38 when I was pregnant. And so all of this then is tormenting the infant to get the split in the psyche so that they can come in then with
the spirit to leave the body. I have in my ultrasound book a story of a 2.5-year-old describing her birth to her mother and a therapist. And she said something like, there was very loud thunder when she was in the womb, and she had to get away from the thunder because she was scared. So she went up in the clouds and the thunder went away. And what the child is describing is that her spirit left the body. The body's in the womb. The spirit leaves. It goes up in the clouds. This is what happens during trauma-based mind control with the children who can dissociate. Not all children can. Okay. They particularly like the blonde-haired, blue-eyed children because these children have more capability of dissociating, as do Rh-negative children. So keep that in your mind if you're either one of those types. So once the dissociation happens, okay, that's when they can begin to bring other entities into that body that can be programmed. And if you alter personalities, that will be in service to the dark side. And if you think of the transgender people, these are alter personalities. Okay, these people have alter personalities that are not their inherent being. They're something else. So these people are under mind control. That's number one. They may have been tortured. They certainly were through the birth process and through prenatal care. And that's something for all of us to become aware of. And so we've got a lot of issues right now. And a lot of these people will be infertile, frankly, because of the radiation. We know ultrasound stops sperm production, 2 15-minute blasts to the adult male scrotum, and you have total infertility. No sperm are produced. 2 15-minute blasts. And that infertility can be permanent. Okay, ultrasound also causes extreme heating so that they're using it to create vasectomy. Okay, they can burn the vas deferens of adult men. And so the skin will coagulate and block the sperm from moving into the penis. So they're using it as a form of vasectomy. What's happening to the developing testes of our babies when they direct that beam at the genitals, allegedly to discover the sex? And how stupid have we been to say, okay,
right,
yes, please, I want to know the sex so I can create the nursery in the right color.
And that's everyone now. And this is why they have social media, so that they can promote these gender reveal parties and the pictures of the sonogram or the ultrasound and the 3D pictures, and promote. It's like we're celebrating what Agent 131711 pointed out, that the medical industrial complex wasn't converted to evil with Rockefeller in the 20s. It started out as a satanic cult. And different ways, barbaric ways to torture people, do live without anesthesia surgeries, these different tools that help to split the personalities, make the person weak, make the soul weak.
And trap the babies in neonatal intensive care units where they're daily tortured without anesthetic. They're paralyzed, because I had a baby in NICU. Okay, I lived through this. I had to watch what they did to her every single day, which is what snapped me out of it. Okay, it took that level of extreme trauma where I felt like I couldn't even stand being in my own skin, watching what they were doing, for me to break through to the other side and say, something is really fucking wrong here.
Yeah.
And I need to go deeper into what's going on, because they hurt her so bad. And they hurt every single baby. You know, these poor premature babies, of course, are hightailing it out of the womb because they can't survive in the womb. The womb is so toxic from all the radiation and all the toxic food and all the poisons all around us. So they hightail it out of there, and then they're completely isolated.
Yeah.
Now, you compare that to what they're doing, for example, in South Africa, kangaroo mother care, right, where premature babies are put skin to skin on the mother or their father 24/7. They're skin to skin with somebody that loves that baby. Every medical thing that's done to them is done while they are with somebody that loves them. Okay. Big difference than what's going on in the United States and what's going on in other supposedly advanced Western countries, with the United States being by far the most evil and the most dark and the most dangerous place to give birth right now. We have the highest infant and mortality and maternal mortality rate in the industrial world. We're like number 70.
Not surprising at all. And so I mean, my thoughts has always been we're under and have been under a one world government from the beginning. So why would they still allow the skin to skin contact, say in countries like South Africa, versus this is what the medical system is doing? Because I've been to other countries and I was just recently in South Africa and I talked to people that are in the medical system, and we have, I used to work as an RN, we have the exact same protocol.
There is a doctor in South Africa, Niels Bergman, who is the pioneer of this kangaroo mother care. And I guess it's in his hospital
Okay.
that they are doing this with premature infants. I don't know if it's standard care.
Yeah.
Apparently not, by what you just said. But there are places where this is happening, where love is happening.
Yeah.
Okay. And we have to keep in mind, and this is something a lot of people don't really want to approach, but I'm going to approach it. When we look at the story of Abraham and Sarah, I'm going to take this pretty deep. I didn't know we were going to go here today. We're looking at a couple, a Jewish couple, that lies wherever they go and says Sarah is his sister, not his wife.
Right.
So that Sarah can then be pimped over to the richest men in the community where they go and get into their compounds. Okay. She then gets in there and starts poisoning them with mandrake, which is, if you look clearly at the Bible, you're going to see this plant mentioned over and over again. Okay. That mandrake is used to poison the people and the animals so that everything in the compound starts dying, getting sick and dying. So then Abraham can say, well, look, you're screwing my wife and my God is pissed off. And if you want to appease my God, give me all your stuff.
Right.
Give me all your wealth, and maybe some of your compound can live. So these poor guys, right? These poor non-Jewish guys are like, what do you mean she's your wife? You said she's your sister. What the hell are you talking about? Right? But they have no choice. So they give this couple all of their stuff, all of their cows or whatever, and she leaves. People start getting better because they're not being poisoned anymore. Okay. And Abraham and Sarah walk off with all the wealth and go to the next place and do the same thing and teach their offspring to do it as well. All right. These people have been poisoning wells for centuries. For centuries. They've been involved in poisoning. And this is also extremely well documented. They've been involved in ritual sacrifice, like throwing babies into a tophet to their god Moloch.
Yes.
Right? These are Kabbalistic sorcerers. And my ultrasound book goes pretty deep into what's going on with the Kabbalah, how sound plays into the control of reality, which is why we have ultrasound blasting through our airspace 24/7, causing people to commit suicide because they can hear it and it's maddening.
Right.
And we have Jewish doctors telling them it's tinnitus. No, it's ultrasonic hearing. Babies can hear it. Teenagers can hear it. Adults can hear it. Not all of us can hear it.
I can.
I can too. It's maddening.
Yeah, it is. And I know I can hear it because I'll get close to a tower or something and it intensifies and I'll even hear like a boot, 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 and then as I'm leaving, it's going away. And of course, the pharmakia, the medical industrial complex, the satanic cult always blames you for everything. If you have a reaction to a toxic drug, it's you. You're allergic to it. That means it's your fault. Nothing's wrong with your body.
You're electrosensitive. That's what they've called me. You're electrosensitive. Yeah. You're the problem.
You're the problem.
The problem is not that we're poisoning you and attacking you with electroshock torture weaponry. That's not the problem. The problem is you.
Yeah. Of course. Okay? So that you're always going to have to look at your body. Your body's weak, which is why, and kind of what I wanted to really talk about too is when I learned about vaccines, which I think, to your point earlier, it's a red herring. Everyone's fixated on a virus, trying to prove it doesn't exist. And quite frankly, I think that's like spinning a hamster wheel because you're trying to prove something does not exist that does not exist. That's just getting lost in the weeds and the minutia. It's impossible. So So then we kind of look at the cochlea is the first organ that's developed in utero because it's the most important. Nature doesn't make mistake. God doesn't make mistakes. That's why it is the most important because you're hearing everything around you. The baby is so intelligent and so perfectly forming that it's monitoring and it's observing from the external environment through its ears. It can't see. You're not going to ever be able to see through it, but you can hear, and you start to get an understanding of world around you. And so, like when I was pregnant with my son, my son's dad was not a very good person, and would try and get into fights with me while I was pregnant. And I just knew intuitively, like that's the last thing to have
This
happen. I
baby
would have to
needs
go
you.
and drive away and wait till he calmed down. And that's the one thing after another to erode your protective layer on your spirit so that you're vulnerable to the sounds, or that you are, what they call us as sensitive. Everybody tells me I'm too sensitive, or I used to have a high pain tolerance. I don't anymore. And I realized how important that is, because you can react and change the offending circumstances immediately. And my son last night, who's really waking up, said he's been using this tallow teeth that I make instead of toothpaste. So there's no detergents in it. It's just buffalo tallow that doesn't have any vitamin supplements or premix, or it's just pure tallow, sea salt, and horsetail root. And he said because he's been using that for 2 years, his teeth now will not allow him to eat junk food.
Right on.
He's like, they start to rebel.
Wow.
And so he's like, I think if your teeth are, connected to your whole spirit organism, they will tell you what you need to eat. The teeth are part of it, which is why the dental industry drills down your teeth, hollows them out, fills them with plastic and metals and mercury, and then can't figure out why they're breaking because they're eggshells now, and then they want to extract them. And
that's something else about bones, because teeth are bone, and ultrasound, literally, bones absorb radiation heat. And so ultrasound can literally melt bones, which is why we have microcephaly and why we have Treacher-Collins disease and all these deformations of the cheekbones, the skull bones, the ears, the teeth. These children are being born with all kinds of bone deformations in the head. And my teeth, I have no top teeth left anymore. I had a bunch of caps, root canals, and I finally had them pulled one at a time. And I've since had a tooth pulled without any anesthetic because I'm not going to have them inject me with this technology.
No.
By the way, it was super easy to have the tooth pulled. It hurt for about 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Literally, it hurt. I'm not going to, say it didn't. It hurt. But after 3 minutes, there was nothing.
Yeah.
No pain, nothing.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. That was very interesting. But yeah, we have to go back to God's world. This whole technocratic civilization is an overlay. This is an overlay on God's world. Okay.
Right.
And toxic, poisonous, destructive overlay. We have to engage in the great turnaround where we say goodbye to the satanic world and the satanic conveniences that are causing death all around us, and go back to God's world, which has everything we need right from the start.
No,
you know what I mean? Like when I looked at Hawaii for 11 years and I could see the way the Hawaiian people lived and how they built natural structures out of their environment. Okay, and I could see the American civilization come in to destroy that at every possibility, okay, in every way that it could, with its toxic overlays.
Right. And that's the point I was trying to make about So once I found out and researched for myself, which I already knew anyway, intuitively, you'll ask anyone, they'll always say, I knew it deep down inside,
Yeah,
but I just was following along. But
exactly.
once I found out about it, once I read how they determined that a virus exists, there's no question. Like, you can't go back and still believe in it.
Mm-hmm.
Same with once you realize the body heals itself when you
Yeah.
remove the root cause of the toxins and the poisons, if it hasn't gone past the point of no return, you haven't done permanent damage to an organ or body system, the body heals itself. So when I see people like these influencers promoting dimethyl sulfoxide to put on the body, or chlorine dioxide, which is still bleach. Sorry, it is. And vitamin D3, which kills rats, cats, mice, dogs, would kill you if you took too much. How is it they can justify taking turpentine, drinking their own urine? It's the satanic poisoning of the body is what they are.
Turpentine is actually resin from a cedar tree or a pine tree, and
It's
countries like
also
Russia,
heavily manufactured, though. You don't just take
countries like Russia, you can get pure resin where they're
Yeah.
not, like you can get it in the United States too, but these people go out and they cut the trees to make the trees bleed. That's not a way to collect resin, okay? In Russia, they literally go into the Russian Siberian forest and collect real resin from a tree that has a wound, and they sell it in the purest form.
That's different.
It's totally different than the kind of turpentine you're going to get normally at a hardware
And I
store.
wouldn't call that turpentine. That is just straight from the tree. I'll take pitch from the tree and chew on it. It doesn't destroy my biofilm.
No.
It actually repairs it. It helps to remineralize my teeth. My gums are actually growing back in despite the mouth rape that these barbaric dentists did to me.
Yeah.
So when left to its own devices, the body only knows homeostasis. And so what I always say is they hide God. They have to
do more
say,
than that. They twist it, saying we have a superior thing to God. Like the penis that God created is not effective.
right.
We have a way to make it better, okay?
Yeah, but it's always doing that. Like the body won't heal unless you give it a toxic industrial solvent. The body won't heal unless you take what I have formulated from natural products to make it into something that will heal your body, because your body doesn't know how to heal on its own. Same, with infants. They're not going to be able to survive these diseases that are out here in the modern world unless we inject them with poison.
Which is totally, of course, a Luciferian reversal. Most of what they promote, this is Luciferian reversals. It's the complete reversal of the truth. It's the opposite of the truth.
Right.
And we have to understand that vaccines were never intended to help people heal or prevent disease. And on the contrary, these have been biological weapons from the get-go.
Exactly.
The entire medical system is a biological weapon. Okay,
yes.
it's an assault. It is intended to be an assault. And we have to stop this. We have to stop handing our bodies and our babies over to these creatures.
Right.
And I didn't even go deep into the creature part, because I don't think these creatures are fully human. Okay, I think the Garden of Eden was a genetic laboratory. I think there's another race of beings called the Anunnaki. Okay, we can call them whatever we want.
Right.
All right, that were on the earth, and some people are worshiping these beings as if they're God. To this day, I believe Yahweh is an Anunnaki. Okay, and the Garden of Eden was a genetic laboratory where a specific race of people that walks this earth were created. Okay, and they are a combination of the Anunnaki and pristine mankind. And what makes them so dangerous is the Anunnaki genetics. Okay, because the Anunnaki have no feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And we can see that there is a race of beings on this earth that has the potential to do the most horrific evil against children. That is not part of mankind's coding. Okay.
Agree.
That is another place. That is something different. than what our Creator created in us. And we need to understand what we are dealing with. This is a race that looks like us, that mimics us, that mimics our work, takes our work and steals it and presents it as, okay, they mimic us, they try to fit in and to blend, but they are not like us. They are here, and, we've got a rabbi that came straight out and said this. So hundreds of people, he's talking to all these Jewish people all over the world, coming in through video. He says, we're not from here. He points to his whiteboard and he says, we're from out here. And our job is to conquer the earth. And then he says, somebody raises their hand and says, how are we supposed to conquer the earth? He says, we're being given the method as we go. It's like we come in like undercover agents.
Right.
We look like the people where we live. We act like the people where we live. We go to work, we get married, we forget about it. And then we get activated and we get reminded, it's time. It's time. You got to go do this now.
Because that was my question.
You hear what I just
understand
said? They get activated through their genetics.
And how these people that are influencers can't see what you and I can see so obvious that a 3-year-old could understand. You can't poison the body back to health. Yet I can't have conversations with people like Amanda Vollmer because she doesn't go after what I've presented against vitamin D3. I'm a narcissist. I have childhood trauma. She feels sorry for me. I need to journal and hopefully I'll get my life back together. It has nothing to do with that they're giving people poison and telling pregnant women and babies that they should be taking vitamin D3 in mega doses. That doesn't matter. My question is, do you think they know? Are they part of this other race, the Anunnakis, get people back into this pharmakia, this satanic cult that we call the medical system?
I wrote an email to Amanda yesterday. I don't know if she's gotten it because I've called her out. Okay. And I do think she is one of them. Okay. When I said one of them, I think there's a group of people on Substack that are promoting disinformation and also plagiarizing other people's work and presenting it as their own. Now, the reason I say this about Amanda is because when I was calling out a Midwestern doctor for totally plagiarizing my ultrasound book, that whoever that creature is a satanic whore. And I've documented the plagiarism to a great degree. At the exact same time, she's getting called out for plagiarizing my ultrasound book and my birth trauma book. She tried to do it with my birth trauma book also. Okay, but she got bagged. She got caught, so she couldn't go through with it with the birth trauma book. Amanda decides to come out writing an article about birth trauma, about the problems with hospital births. And I'm like, now wait a second. Amanda has never written about this topic before that I saw. I never saw her, address this issue before, and suddenly she comes out with this article about the problems with hospital birth. So I said, okay, now that Midwestern doctor's been called out, they're going to put Amanda forward as the expert on this topic. So that
not
people
just like super quick. This is exactly what I think needs to be emphasized because they work in tandem, and I've seen them work in tandem.
They work together.
They work together. It's almost as though they're getting there's a red fax machine in each one of their houses and they get their instructions. Here's what we're doing today. Because not once have they ever agreed to come on my podcast, and open invitation to any one of them who wants to come and have a civil discourse and a debate on any of these topics. Let's talk about DSMO. Tell me why do you want people to have DMSO? That is the most. I got over 20,000 views on Substack on that one article, and it was a repeat of the last article. I just had some more information. I wanted to clean it up. I want to know Like colloidal silver, that's obvious because it makes you a superconductor on
A
the
metal target. Yep. Come in, radiation. Come in.
But why DSMO? What does it do spiritually? How does it further this pharmaceutical pharmakia satanic cult? And
I don't know, but it probably poisons people, and that's the bottom line, is that they want to poison people and they want to turn people into magnets for their poisons, especially the
right.
radiation and frequencies.
So the DSMO.
I would like to go further with this in terms of what they're doing, how they're working together to demonstrate something, because after Amanda did that, I noticed very recently Unbecoming, the Substack Unbecoming, who
Right.
writes exactly like Midwestern Doctor, okay? A
Mhm.
complete mirror image of the style and the length of the articles and all this stuff, okay? Comes out with an article about how the medical establishment preys on birth.
Interesting.
Every single thing mentioned in that article is what I talk about in my birth trauma book. And she cites Amanda as her source.
Wow.
Okay? This is how they play it. They don't want people to, they're gonna lead people to the edge of what the dark side wants people to, will let people be aware of.
Right.
And stop them there to prevent them from going into the real truth, which is going to be found in my book and in my work, which they have worked double time, triple time, quadruple time to censor and prevent people from getting to. You can only get my books on my website right now in paperback form at birthofanewearth.com. And now you can get my books in flipbook on your site.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Shadowbandlibrary.com.
And your help. Okay, so Unbecoming is part of this. Vigilant Fox is another one that was promoting a Midwestern doctor's work and that refused to take down the ultrasound article even after Substack said this is a plagiarized article and took it down. Vigilant Fox left it up. So I had to go through the whole process to get Vigilant Fox to take it down.
Wow.
Okay, and then there's Mercola. You know, I'm actually worried about Joe Mercola because I know his site's been taken over. That's not him. That is not him putting out the information. And there's all kinds of stuff about how he got involved with some cult. And I don't know if he's been kidnapped, mind controlled, or harmed. Okay.
I mean, I would say, Jeanice, that they all have. I would stand behind this based on what I have seen in the past 5 years, that you don't have an audience of that level unless you are completely controlled. And the best person to mind control is someone that doesn't know it, like Alex Zeck. I don't know that he knows that he's this Manchurian candidate leading people astray down this common law or whatever they want to call it, trying to get people to correct their status and lose their.
Don't go there, folks. It's not a way to go.
Go there if you can find one attorney or one judge or anyone in the actual court system that will tell you, oh yeah, this works and here's how to do it. Not one will tell you that. They go based on these shoddy testimonials, which is how they get people to drink urine and do satanic rituals, blood rituals, is the testimonials, which are all made up through the system because it's always hiding God. It's what you stopped doing that allowed the body to heal, which is God. That's God right there. When they take over, they'll say it's because you took the DSMO, it's because you took the chlorine dioxide, it's because you took the herbal remedies that I gave you. It's never your body did it.
The herbal remedies, I would say, I love working with herbs. I grow my own herbs and I make my own tinctures and stuff. And I think herbal remedies, when you get pure remedies, these can be very supportive of your body. God's plan.
So you said it though, it's supportive. So food is medicine. Herbs are the same thing as food. It's a food-based memory.
This is God's medicine. Exactly.
Right. So you're just giving your body the conditions to heal. That's what I keep wanting people to understand. It's not the herbal remedies that did it. The body was waiting for the conditions to return to homeostasis or return to its harmonious balance. That's all.
And I want to come back one more time to the people who are in question on Substack, okay? Yes. Because So we've got Unbecoming a Midwestern Doctor, we've got Vigilant Fox, we've got Mercola.
And Amanda Vollmer, don't forget.
And Amanda Vollmer, okay, and Dr. Pierre Corey, members of MAHA, Children's Health Defense. I'm going to say Sire G of Green Med Info. He may have been taken over too, because
He
suddenly
started there.
this is a man that writes on health and nutrition, okay, and suddenly comes out with an article about the ritual of circumcision. I'm like, Sire G, what made you decide to suddenly write an article about circumcision? Andrew Kaufman.
This is why I say they get their instructions from somewhere, and he didn't, there's no way.
Exactly.
There's no way. They
Andrew
feed
Kaufman
you
is
with
another one that Amanda Vollmer hangs out with, okay, who suddenly came out with a video about cord clamping.
right.
Like they're all coming out with the stuff about birth right now, because the stuff about birth is coming out.
Right.
All right, whether they freaking like it or not. And they are trying to control the discourse.
Right.
Very
Exactly.
quickly. And they got a whole team of people working on this project to take people only this far. Don't let them go to Jeanice.
It's 80%. It's 80%. I've looked at the math. Like 80% of what they say is just God's honest truth. And you're like, oh my gosh, they're on my side. They understand there's no such thing, and they understand this satanic world that we're under. And then the 20% gets you to poison yourself, transfer your wealth, move to a foreign country, whatever it is. That's how they're controlling all of the masses with that 20%. The ones that are mistrustful of the government, they'll go over here to these guys. So they started that way. Look at their audience. They complained they were censored. They complained they got banned. They complained all this stuff, yet they have 20,000 followers, 500,000 followers.
There's also, like what a Midwestern doctor did with the ultrasound information, although I made it clear that a single exposure to ultrasound is causing genetic damage equivalent to 250 chest x-rays. This creature repeatedly would say, there's a threshold.
Of course.
A safe threshold. So there's a safe level, or what's the other language that they use? They're just
The poison
baloney.
is in the dose.
That there's a safe level. There is no safe level. There is no safe level of poison. There is no safe level, people, for any of this stuff.
And they're controlled, though. Let's
feed
just
it to you over
see
and
how
over
they're
again.
controlled. They're controlled by a piece of paper. So these are the MK Ultra has the goats. The goats are what they spend their time on, controlling and mind controlling the goats, splitting their personalities, which are your influencers that you see on the screen. And then they are controlling the sheep. The goats control the sheep. The MK Ultra controls the goats control the sheep. The sheep are the ones that are watching the black mirrors, these black screens, for these influencers to tell them how to poison themselves. It was like awaiting for further instruction, Savior, at the screens.
Well, please also note that these influencers, half of them have no face and no name. Okay, so right away,
right?
If they're anonymous, if they will not reveal who they are, do not trust these people. Okay, I can't even sue that creature, because Substack is covering their ass. Substack will not tell me, even though Substack knows she's a plagiarist or he's a plagiarist.
Right.
Not reveal their identity, so they're protected by Substack.
Wow. So you can't
Substack
go after them at all.
It's becoming the #1 platform for plagiarists. I mean, just Terra Times came out, another nameless, faceless Substack, totally plagiarizing Arthur Furstenberg's book, The Invisible Rainbow. I mean, verbatim, sentence after sentence, straight out of his book. The whole first half of that article, straight out of Arthur Furstenberg's book, without even mentioning his name, or mentioning his book. Okay, this is how they play it, because now they're the experts on this. All right, they murdered Arthur Furstenberg with the technology, with their wireless microwave weaponry. He recently died. So he can't stand up and say, hey,
this is my work.
My work. I stood up and said, hey, hey, you can't do this shit. This needs to end. Substack needs to address these people and get them off the platform.
Unless
This
that's
is
the
not
point of the platform, because the platform
unless it
is again.
is. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. And so I always look at, okay, this is literally the last place I can have my material that's not censored. I'm censored everywhere else. I'm on
Me
a
too.
list. Like I can't, because I'm over the mark, and I don't say, here, don't take this injected poison, take this brand of poison that I'm selling with my affiliate links. I say, go back to your intuition, your divine knowing, your wisdom, and start to discern for yourself. Does this make sense to me? Because everyone was about, after my DSMO article, was like, oh, I'm going to trust the Midwestern doctor. I trust the Midwestern doctor. He would never leave his right.
DMSO. It's DMSO. And yeah, you're going to trust a Midwestern doctor after Medicine Girl puts out all this important information regarding the poison?
Right.
Why would you trust somebody whose name you don't even know?
Exactly.
Okay,
Exactly.
whose
Who is
face you've
it?
never seen.
That's exactly right. And so they have them entrained.
Exactly, exactly. And that's what the ultrasound does. It entrains the baby, it entrains the whole culture to the Luciferian world.
Right.
That's what it's for. That's
Exactly.
exactly what it's for.
And so that's
And what
why they have
you
these.
heard also, when you get close to a cell tower, you're hearing the microwaves, because the
Right.
microwaves can sound like a hiss or a knock, 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 or what you described. Okay, microwaves sound different than the ultrasound. Is like a high-pitched, tortured mosquito-like screech.
Mm.
It's horrid. It's a horrid sound. And a lot of us are hearing it
Kills me.
24/7. And it doesn't
Yeah.
go away. Here's the thing, because I said the bones absorb radiation, the radiation heat and the frequencies, and the bones start rattling, literally expanding and contracting in response to these frequencies. So the noise is sometimes coming from inside our head. The cochlea is picking up the bones expanding and contracting in response to these alien frequencies. And so even if we put earplugs in, it doesn't go away because it's coming from inside of our heads.
Right. I
What's
know.
happening with our bones as a result of exposure to these energies. That's intense. They
Right.
call it bone conduction.
Right.
Anybody can look this up. Look up, you can go to my website, my radiation website, radiationdangers.com. Look up microwave hearing, look up ultrasonic hearing, look up bone conduction.
You can look up
Okay.
Agent 131711's voice to skull technology, and he goes into that. And then I just really quick about Agent 131711 won't reveal his name for his safety or her safety. Like
I know.
that's straight up. I don't fault him, her for that. I simply say, okay, that's, you got to do it for your safety. I'm just out there because, I'm out there. I don't want to constantly have to hide. I tell people my real name. I tell people, on my website, I even have my phone number. The site.
Oh, I won't do that. I won't put my phone number, but I did put my email. So
Nobody
people
ever
can
calls me
contact.
though. I've had it up for 10 years. And the only time people ever use it is if they really need to use it. And it's like it's been a positive. But okay, we're getting close to the end, but we need to kind of go over solutions. I think we should have definitely more discussions on this so that we can talk about. I don't think you can come up with solutions until you are truly aware of what is going on and what they're doing and the nature of it. So I think it's very important to stay informed. My personal feeling for a solution is to starve their system. Don't take your currency, your energy that's converted into currency, and go to Starbucks or go to McDonald's or buy their poison, buy anything that's been flavor enhanced with fetal tissue. That's consenting into their satanic torture system. And that, we didn't even get into abortions, but that is the number one way that they harm and through child sacrifice.
Yeah, through this. Can I share my screen to show you what I think is the solution to this? Okay. So this is on my website, birthofanewearth.com. This is my parenting program. It's a 20-week program that takes people from A to Z in terms of preparing ourselves to bring children into this world without Luciferian influence. The program, of course, is going to have its greatest effect if people go through it pre-conception.
Right.
So that we understand before we conceive our babies what we need to do to create safety during conception, during birth, during gestation, okay, during the whole process,
right,
up to conscious parenting. And creating safety means creating not only a clean body, okay, which people, well, I'm eating healthy and so everything's good. No, we've got to rid the space of radiation. We've got to create a home environment that's not toxic. We've got to stop using toxic products on our skin, hair care, okay? We've got to stop poisoning our lawns. We've got to stop eating toxic foods. We've got to do a great many things, ideally prior to conception.
And I want to throw in, because we've been talking so much about hearing, is the music. All of the Matrix music is on Spotify. It's on these digital sources. You cannot be healthy and listen, especially on headphones, to what I call Matrix music. And even if it is, a positive Christian song, they put underlying frequencies under it that create discourse. So that is a main toxin that gets into your body, because not only is it going into your head, you're singing along to it. And the music for your children, especially the ones that, like my son is 18 and I'm very cautious with him. If you want to have children someday, you can't have your phone next to your testicles. You can't have this music going into your ear.
You got to get rid of the phone.
You have to get rid of the phone.
You got to get rid of all of it. If you want to have intact sperm and eggs, you can't be irradiating yourself
Is
all.
The phone radiation similar to a ultrasound, or what could we compare the radiation of the phone? Let's say he's got it, and I've seen him put it in his pocket right next to his testicles. What is that doing as far as is that non-ionizing radiation? Is it?
It is very high levels of radiation coming from the phone. Yeah. Extremely high. It is pulsed. It is attacking. Boom, boom. It's a constant pummeling of the nervous system with pulsed microwaves. Okay. It is destroying the genetics of the sperm and the eggs. It is destroying much else besides.
Right.
All right. This technology is making people sterile and infertile. Whatever sperm are left after irradiation, okay, the quality is going to be in question, because any radiation exposure is going to cause defects, morphological defects, the shape. They're going to swim. They're going to be inept at swimming, whatever's left of them, if you have any left. Okay, it's going to damage fertility in a very serious way. And it is. This is why we have so many autistic children.
Right.
Okay, ultrasound is worse because ultrasound is both sound frequencies and electromagnetic frequencies. It's a double assault of different kinds of alien frequencies that do not belong on the earth. Okay? They're doing so much to get us to harm ourselves. We pay big money.
I know.
To destroy ourselves. We have Wi-Fi in our homes. We have cordless phones. We have baby monitors. We have iPads, cordless printers, Roombas. I mean,
Well, it's
People
like
have
smart
no
refrigerators. You've got Wi-Fi on your fridge. You've got Wi-Fi on your dishwasher. You've got Wi-Fi on your stove. You've got Wi-Fi on your laundry washer dryer. The TVs, even though they're not on, are still emitting signals, and I think they're recording everything. Like they
And
can
of
they
course,
can
you
look
should
through your
not be
TV.
watching TV if you're going to have children. You should not be involved in drinking alcohol, okay, or taking pharmaceutical drugs
Or
because these
vitamins
are
or
Luciferian
supplements.
devices.
Also, when all of your biofilm is intact, meaning you're not using detergents on your skin, so you have your protective one-way valve on your skin, you have your protective one-way valve on your antenna, your hair is antenna, you can mitigate the damages. So I don't want people to be in fear and try and like think, okay, it's hopeless and then give up because you have 16
Don't give
big
up.
screen TVs in your house. There's always a way, and it's a lot more simple than you think. And it's usually just like one step at a time. Let's go one step at a time. First, stop
Exactly.
removing the stuff off your bodies. Then, the
Something you can do immediately.
exactly.
Immediately to help yourself. Turn everything off at night.
Yeah.
Unplug everything. Okay,
Yeah.
anything smart, unplug it. I know it's a big deal to reprogram your TVs and stuff, okay? Do
Makes
it
you watch
anyway.
it less, which is a good thing.
Just unplug everything. Try to sleep
Yeah.
in a clean environment because your body will try to repair radiation damage during sleep,
Right.
but it can't do that if you're chronically exposed.
Or if
So
you're
you've got to try to
stimulated.
get out of it. What?
You can't do it if you're on stimulants either. So
No,
if you're
that's right.
drinking coffee in the morning, it still is in your system at night. It's got
Yeah.
a very long
You have to
half-life on
protect
it.
yourself. You got to protect yourself from as many Luciferian influences as you can. You take it one step at a time, like Medicine Girl just said. When I had to make the changes, the first thing I did was I called the electric company and had to argue with them to get the smart meter off. I then had the Wi-Fi router moved way far away. I then finally had the Wi-Fi router changed so that there was no Wi-Fi coming out, only Ethernet. I had to go out and get phone jacks because the phone jacks weren't working. I needed to use corded phones instead of cordless phones. It took me like 3 or 4 months, one step at a time, to change what was going on in my house, to get rid of the tenant downstairs who had all kinds of stuff.
Right.
Okay, he had to go. We brought in an 80-year-old tenant, right, that only had a phone and was willing to turn it off at night. Okay, these are the things that I had to do, but I did them because I knew my life depended on it and I wanted to live. And I wanted to live in God's frequencies.
Right.
So I did it. I got a Faraday canopy for my bed because I was on Long Island. I was totally
Oh, wow.
73 cell 3 mile radius. I mean, it was ridiculous. I did what I needed to do. I borrowed money because I had no money to get what I needed to protect myself.
Right.
No, one step at a time, friends. Don't get overwhelmed. Just say, okay, I'm going to start. I'm going to
That's
start.
it. Start with the one thing that you can do that seems ridiculously easy. Like getting a
Unplug.
little timer from Amazon or from the hardware store that you can program to automatically have everything turn off. You just plug in the plug and you set the dial so that it's going to turn off at night. So everything goes off at night. That's really simple to do. Then you can do the next step, which would be turn off all your devices, like turn off your phone, make sure it is not anywhere close to your bed when you're sleeping. They monitor us for
Right.
sleeping, they control our dreams. So if your phone is on, it can affect your dreams, especially if you have metals inside your head, like colloidal silver is the worst. Copper is really conductive. You don't want any of these metals inside of your body. So those are simple things. Then you can take my 11-week course. You can go on Jeanice's website and start to slowly tick off the boxes.
Help us heal the birth trauma, to help us heal the prenatal trauma, to help us become aware of it so that we don't recreate it.
Right.
Traumatic repetition is a big deal because we do repeat the trauma unconsciously in an effort to heal it. So we've got to break the traumatic repetition, let these children come in totally loved and gentle totally supportive environment. Let these children come in God's image so that they don't have to go through what we've been through. We've been through the Luciferian mailman. We've been harmed in a very serious way. But we can change all of this in one generation if we understand how to heal ourselves and how to prepare ourselves to bring the next generation in without this. That's what this program is all about. It's not for everybody. It's for those who are meant to bring in God's children, really. Okay? And for everybody that's becoming infertile, it's okay, because a lot of these people, we shouldn't keep reproducing. If we're going to keep reproducing the harm, we have to stop.
Right. It has to be intentional, and you have to really, truly, I think, be awake and aware so that you don't continue to harm infants.
And forgive yourself. I mean, you got to heal yourself and forgive yourself, because we were under mind control, and that makes us dangerous. The mind control makes us dangerous. It makes us a menace, actually, to our own children, because we don't see. Causing harm. We don't get it. We're completely dissociated. We're marching through life without the soul being able to reach us. No, don't do that. Okay. No, we don't, we're not receiving the transmissions. We have to heal them. And then become parents. And we can. It's not that hard. I've done it. I mean, I'm completely healed. I'm still going through stuff. You know what I'm saying? But I shouldn't have to. It's very frustrating. And the kids don't have to. We can stop this now. The buck stops with us. No more. Right?
And so your children's children can then grow up the way that you can envision. Now that you've seen around some doorsteps, now is the time to talk to them. I've been talking to my son about starting a family since he was young, because he needs to know how to prevent damage. He needs to know how to prevent damage to his own body. And
Please tell him to come through my program. Okay?
I absolutely will.
Yeah.
And
if money's an issue, there are a couple of scholarships available for those in need. So please look at the program. Again, let me share my screen one more time. October 24th, it starts. So please consider checking this out at birthofanewearth.com. Okay.
And the links are right below our podcast. And now, thank you, Jeanice Barcelo, for doing all this research, for really understanding, and for having the bravery to speak your truth no matter how it's received.
Yeah. Thanks a lot so much for giving me the space to do this, Medicine Girl. I'm really good to meet you. Good to connect.
Absolutely. To you too. I'm glad we're fighting the good fight.
God bless you, sister.
You too.
Thank you for joining us for another incredible episode of the Medicine Girl podcast, where our mission is to ignite the power within so you can hear your divine wisdom and follow your soul's true north. Fear is loud. Peace is quiet. Listen to the softest voice. We are all walking each other home.
So I want to,
and do it to the best of your ability, wherever you are. But I have to say, if you're around wireless devices, that's going to be the next thing for you to deal with, because they got to go.
If I can pick that away,
wired. You got to go back.
How would I interview you?
In the same way I'm talking to you. I'm on a wired computer.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a Wi-Fi router downstairs.
On my Ethernet. I've done tests on the wireless. It's the same amount of radiation coming off your Ethernet cable that's connected to your device.
Listen to me. Okay. When you have a router downstairs, you plug the Ethernet cable into the router. The other end goes into your computer. Once you do that, you must turn off the Wi-Fi and the Bluetooth on your computer.
Done that.
You must then shut down your computer. Shut it off. After having put the Ethernet in and shutting off the Bluetooth and the Wi-Fi on your computer, shut the computer down, turn it back on. When it turns back on, it will connect through the Ethernet. If you do not do this, you will have Wi-Fi on your computer, pulling it right up on you. It will not change a thing that you have a cord going through there, because you still have the Wi-Fi and the Bluetooth turned on your computer.
Right. So I've done that, and I've taken my EMF detector, and it shows the same amount of radiation coming off my Ethernet cable that it did on my wireless and Bluetooth.
I don't know what kind of Ethernet cable you got, but Ethernet cables should not do that. Ethernet cables are Ethernet cables.
Have
They're
you
not
tried them? Like, have you gotten a
utilized
detector and
transmit
looked at it?
Wi-Fi. Doesn't make sense. It makes no sense. Something's not being done correctly. You can't.
I would
I mean,
like
this
other
is a
people to do that experiment too. And if you have an EMF detector on your Ethernet cable,
This is what's showing right now. I'm connected through Ethernet, and the only reason there's a green thing happening there is from the neighbor's Wi-Fi booster.
right.
But there's nothing. There's nothing here through the Ethernet cable.
What type of computer do you have? I have a MacBook Pro.
I do also.
Okay.
So this is a pretty recent MacBook Pro.
Yeah, so
something's not being done correctly. I don't know if you want to, do something offline so we could walk through it together to make sure.
Yeah.
Because that should not be happening once you connect. There must be something else in your environment that's causing the high levels,
Right.
not the Ethernet cord. Okay, the Wi-Fi router downstairs, and I'm at an Airbnb. Otherwise, that Wi-Fi router would have no Wi-Fi. I would be calling here and telling them to turn off the Wi-Fi. I don't need it. Okay, it's totally shielded. I've got shielding around the Wi-Fi router. After I plug the Ethernet cord in, I shield the router so the radiation gets trapped in there. Okay, but I still have a perfectly fine Ethernet connection because I'm also using a company that offers cable. I'm not using a wireless company to get the internet here. If you're using Verizon, forget it. Okay, you need to use Optimum or Frontier or a company that offers cable to get Ethernet connected. You can't use a wireless company. You've got to dump them.
Okay. Well, I'll have to figure that out. Because
I have a webinar on my website about the radiation issue. If you go to the webinars link and look for the radiation thing, that it's like $40, and there's a half an hour walkthrough, literally on how to make changes in your home.
Okay.
So I show people in that webinar how to do it. I can also do it through a private session during Zoom if people are interested. But I had to do this because I almost died from it. So I'm pretty knowledgeable. I'm wearing shielding right now because of my neighbors, right? I don't want to get hit with any of it.
Right.
I don't want to live in a field of Luciferian frequencies. See, I want to live in God's frequencies.
I also want to make a point that, yes, the external, there's ways to mitigate it with like silver cloths and everything. I think